Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we have a few more people coming, but they're probably going to just kind of trickle in as we go. So today is a little bit different, and several of y'all were here last time, but I know everybody from the SHAC. Anybody new? Were you here last time? You were. Everybody was here last time? No? Okay. Sorry if I don't remember that. Okay, we have Jessica Kalaga here, and she's on PTA Council. Kids at Jack, Relays and Legacy? Okay, so a little bit spread out everywhere. And then, were you here last time with us?
No, I was not.
Okay.
Joy Johnson, Whitnett Health.
Oh, awesome. So glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
And so Joy actually does diabetic education as well, so we're going to be tapping into her resources for some of our students. So we will call this meeting to order at 9:10. Okay, so everyone knows we are also recording and we will be posting that. So first things first, so we are rebuilding our SHAC committee and council this year after having an exemption last year. And so we don't have officers in place because we did not have a SHAC. So our officer positions that we have to have per bylaws are a chair, and then can have a co-chair, and then a secretary. We don't have a treasurer because we don't have any money. So basically a chair and then a secretary just to take minutes at the meetings, and then we will type those minutes up and post them online. We can have a chair and a co-chair if we wish to, and then that co-chair can roll into the chair position in 2 years. Okay. So on those positions, typically because of participation, it's just been a volunteer of, yes, I would really like that. We have not in the past had competing people. That's just kind of how it's been. But if we have multiple people interested in fulfilling those roles, then we can definitely put it towards a vote and we will go it that way. So did we have anybody that was interested in fulfilling those roles at the last meeting or filling that? Rachel Hester. Awesome. Is there a specific one that you really lean towards? Okay. Anyone else? Well then, Rachel, would you be interested in being, anybody would like to nominate her for chair? Or like, feel like, oh, look at Lori. Okay, so, okay, would anybody feel led to be like a secretary? Anybody have any experience taking notes, minutes, things like that? No note takers in the crowd. I love you, Devin.
You're amazing.
Fantastic. Okay. I'm awful at Robert's Rule of Order, so if there are no people that are gonna like come after me, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay. So if we all agree on Rachel Hester, so Rachel is with DSHS, but also you have kids at Andy Woods. Amazing. So she serves as a community member and a parent. Amazing. And then we have Devin Churchill here. I will spell your name correctly. With American Heart Association, also a parent. Legacy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How old is your child at Legacy?
14.
I feel you.
Stinky boy,
All
the
the
stinky
prayers.
boy
And
phase,
great,
right?
and you're not going to graduate anytime soon, so you can be with us several years. So glad you're here. And Andy Woods will be here wonderful a long time. So, okay, great. Okay, so we can move on. Tanya Waite is here with our STEAM program. That is our, I don't even know how to label it. What do you call it? Covers all health and education, puberty, human trafficking, covers all of our Senate Bill 9 lessons for our secondary level. So So she is going to give an overall update and synopsis of it, and then if you have any questions, please ask. Did you get a clicker?
I do.
Okay, there's one over here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Love to spend some time with you here this morning. My name is Tanya. I live in East Texas, born in East Texas. Love serving children and families. Been doing this work for about 26 years. And I'm lucky enough to say because I want to. I love what I do. And so the STEAM program is unique because it is a collaboration with parents and school nurses and counselors and teachers and coaches, and we look at what the SHAC guidance for the state of Texas requires. We look at what the TEKS requirements are, and we look at all the numerous wonderful legislation that comes out every year. And so every 3 to 4 years, I take these items and I ask parents and teachers of our surrounding school districts to join me. And so a part of what I'm here to do today, on the back table, there's this document, this feedback document on joining me for the 6th revision. And so, could you pass these out? I'm so sorry. If you didn't pick one of these up, I would love for you to have one in front of you because it goes along with the overview presentation that I'm doing of the curriculum, because you can see in detail all these itty bitty boxes of different topics align with what is required in the TEKS. So unless you want, I would be glad to give you, each and every grade has about 15 pages of TEKS, and I would love to give this to you, or we can just look at this overview document together. So this is what, if you want to join in the development and revision, then please just leave this for me on the back table and I will get back with you. You can be as involved with as many hours as you want or as few hours as you want. You might just say, hey, I'm interested in the TEKS that have to do with diabetes, or I'm interested in the TEKS that just have to do with child abuse. And so we can just look at those chapters or lessons in the book. Or you might say, hey, all of these look interesting to me. I'm going to zoom in to all of these meetings. So that's my ask for the day, is to look at that form as I go through the presentation and see if there's anything in there that is a passion to you. I'm going to do a quick overview for those of you that aren't familiar with the curriculum, and then I'm going to share some exciting news, some evaluation data that I just got on our curriculum from our local school districts that I just got in my hands about 2 weeks ago, because I, like you, want to make sure that what I'm doing I can prove is actually working, like we're making good behavior changes in our youth. So I'm excited to share that with you. So the STEAM curriculum emphasizes risk avoidance, meets the state standards, is medically accurate and proven effective, and local assistance. I've got trainers all over the state, but since I'm about an hour away, I'm your local assistant. And I love working with your school district and training your teachers. I've been working with Tyler ISD since like 2001. And so, and I so appreciate those that have served on the development committees, because the people from Tyler ISD have made a huge impact on what our curriculum looks like. So the 6 new areas of the health team consist of physical health and hygiene, mental health and wellness, healthy eating and physical activity, injury and violence prevention, alcohol, tobacco and drugs, reproductive and sexual health. And within the TEKS, there's all these little individual ABCs that are listed on our overview document. But these little A, B's, and C's are called student expectations. And there's anywhere from 100 to 115 per grade. So there's a lot of information, good information for our students. And if there's anything that you want to do a deeper dive on as I'm going through the topics or lessons, please just stop and let's have a discussion. That's why I'm here. And so currently there's 5 different grade levels that again match the TEKS. Excursion is 5th grade, Envision is 6th, Equip is 7th, Explore is 8th, and Embark is high school. And 3 years ago, when we took the new TEKS and started building the revision, some of our teachers suggested, hey, because there's a lot of new sensitive health TEKS and the legislation requires us to get permission from parents, can you separate the workbooks to the non-sensitive topics and the sensitive topics? And that was a great suggestion, and the teachers like it so much better. And so the students get a set. If you picked up a set on the back, if you could just rubber band them back for me, because these are the actual student journals, A and B, like you see on the board, 9 lessons, 5 lessons. And we did that so that schools could have flexibility in where they place it. If there's not a year-long dedicated health class, they can put this in science, in a study period, in social studies, in wherever all of the students can get the information, because the TEKS are mandatory K through 8th, and high school if it's a requirement to graduate, but there's not always a dedicated class for it. And so this helps with the flexibility that schools have in where they can put the information. Does that make sense? And so that's the layout currently. For the parents to access the workbook and material, they can go to their school offices and flip through a hard copy, or they can look at every single page of the workbook on the website. The parent permission forms give them an access code. So if you're the one encountering a parent that wants to review the workbooks, you can tell them, just go to the website, click parent access in the corner. It gives them some information about the curriculum. They fill out the form, they click review, they put in the password, and then they can go to the library with all the books. Okay? So on the top shelf are all the workbook A's, the bottom shelf are all workbook B's, and they can literally, like a flip book, flip through every page. It is copyrighted, so they can't download it or print it or copy it or use it, but they can look through everything their child will get, also knowing that their child gets to bring home the journals after they complete them, because there's a lot of facts and fill in the blanks in the curriculum, but there's also a lot of journaling and reflection questions that after they learn the information, they write out how they're going to use it. And then there's hotlines for like drug and alcohol and depression and suicide and eating disorders and all kinds of other hotlines that are in the book that they get to keep. And so that's what it looks like. The teacher material is also influenced by our teachers. And there's games, there's a thumb drive with PowerPoints that are exactly what the students see. There's no other, like a link or a website or other videos that are not under school approval or parent approval. What you see in the workbook is what's on the PowerPoint, is what's in the leader kit. So everything matches, and it's very easy for teachers to implement it. And then there's quizzes if they need to give a grade, and there's family continuing conversation. So a worksheet for parents to receive, and many of our schools send it home through a parent portal or a texting app or an email. Sometimes it's the week before the lesson at school, sometimes it's a couple of days after, but it just opens the door for conversation, especially in some of the sensitive areas. Parents really appreciate the opportunity, because sometimes they tell us in parent night, you know I need to cover these things, but I just don't know how to get into the conversation. So we want to just help open the door. And so those are examples of the quizzes and the conversations. In this packet that I would be glad to send you is the TEKS and the other legislation that's right up here if you desire to look through it. These specific pieces are important, especially for high school, because some area high schools don't require health, but they do require information on the fentanyl, on the character education, on the bullying, on the dating violence, on the sexting, and all of that's included in the high school workbook. And so all of those pieces of legislation are right up here if you want to review any of those. And then the SHAC guidance itself is unique and gets updated every couple of years. I'm sure you already have this, but it gives you the responsibility of overseeing things like how do we involve parents, and that's where you utilize me to come into campuses to do parent nights with this information. And one of the documents I hand out to parents is like this one on sexting, and I hand out things like on helpful apps and brain growth during puberty, information on vaping and fentanyl, so the parents get all of those resources for free. Another one of your jobs is instruction on like substance abuse prevention, mental health, instruction on human sexuality, strategies to create parent awareness, curriculum for abuse, violence, and trafficking that do not conflict with the Texas Education Knowledge and Skills. So that's an important part of your job. So I'm here as a resource and help, but I'm also asking for your help because I love getting the chance to know you better and to have you to be a part of our development team. And so in this packet are some other helpful documents that we give to your campus leadership, a check-off list of like when to send out the parent permission forms, but you have admin that's over all of that. And so it doesn't land on your campus leadership because your admin is so good. And so like paper permission forms, electronic permission forms, we try to make it as easy as possible to get as much feedback, as much of those permission forms back from parents as possible. And so there's also, what I want to look at right now are the evaluations. Your schools right now does not do the pre-post evaluation, but it's very similar surrounding schools that are getting these same results. If you ever do want to do these anonymous surveys, this is how long they are. They're 22 questions, and they're anonymous, they're voluntary, we're not tracking kids or anything like that. And so they fill these out, and the results, like I said, that we're getting are really amazing, like the techniques for lowering stress. I can use conflict resolution effectively, creating personal goals. I can seek help for depression. I can tell my teacher if a student's using drugs or alcohol. Students should be abstinent. That's our number 2 in knowledge, is how to use your refusal skills to stay abstinent. Number 1 is usually the information on bacterial and viral diseases. They just don't understand how they're affecting the body. Understanding changes during puberty, avoiding sex until marriage to avoid STDs, a big understanding between pre and post. Understand grooming to trafficking is what it's talking about here. Knowing how to report abuse and knowing how to report trafficking and violence. And so those are the measures that we're currently looking at in the survey. And so I don't think I'll go through the exercises in the book that match the TEKS, because you have the books in front of you and we can look at any exercises that you want. But I do want to flip over to the other PowerPoint, the evaluation PowerPoint. Is there a way to switch over?
It's a different presentation.
Yes. Because there is a Health and Human Services grant in the state of Texas that allows schools to have the curriculum and the training and everything for free. the thing that's unique about this is an 11-question health and human survey that is required for anyone utilizing the grant. And this area is the biggest. We turn in the most student numbers than any grantee across the state. Our schools turn in more data. And this is the result that we just got from the statewide data, which is really encouraging. So I want you to understand everything you're looking at is not a result from one of our schools, but it's the biggest portion of the results, if that makes sense.
Is that on this one or the evaluation?
The evaluation one. So I just want to show you a few slides on here. The pre-post, I know this isn't a great shot, but it's a part of what you're going to see. But all of the yellow are the measures that there was significant movement pre and post. And so what you're seeing in yellow is statistically, I never could say that word, statistically significant gains. And so depending on the grade you're looking at, it's 58 to 79% significant positive change in each grade. And so what we want to look at, if you're a part of the development team, is what aren't we making change in? This is why this is important to me, because I want to know what we can do better and use this feedback to create a better product. That's what evaluation is mainly about. And so let me get to some of these. Okay, this is about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. So the things that you see in orange are the positive movement that we want to see in the students, like knowing how, let me find my glasses here. The program made it more likely or about the same or less likely to not use tobacco products. And so the orange is more or somewhat likely. And so that's what we want to see. Then cigarettes, marijuana, vaping products, pain medication, because there's a lot of the TEKS on over-the-counter use and pain medication and prescription medication. So we want to see that. More or less likely to resist peer pressure. Think about the consequences before making a decision, managing your emotions in a healthy way, and talking with your parent or caregiver about sex. This one is more likely or less likely to make plans to reach goals, and then care about doing well in school. And that's important to me because many of the TEKS are about healthy relationships and stable family formation, because the TEA looked at all of the science between children that had stable family formations had higher GPAs in math, science, and reading. And so we want to teach this next generation about how to have healthy families. So we're also looking out for them relationally, but then also their intellectual development and their GPAs. And then more or less likely, and plans to have a steady full-time job before having a child. You're like, wow, that's kind of a weird wording. But one of the specific TEKS in the mental health section talk about the goals and the financial reasons of graduating high school, having a full-time job, and waiting until marriage to have children. And it's related to a huge poverty prevention study and giving children hope from the future no matter what their backgrounds. Socioeconomic, if you can follow these three things in that order, it's called the success sequence. Plan to have a steady full-time job before you get married. Plan to be married before you have a child. Plan to delay sexual intercourse until you graduate high school or receive your GED. Plan to delay having sexual intercourse until you graduate college or other educational training program. And the last one, plan to delay sexual intercourse until you are married. And so there's two or three other slides, but if you guys want the full study, I can give it to you and then they can look at it. Okay, super. And so now I want to just turn the time over to you to discuss any of the specifics on this feedback form or anything that I've mentioned that are in the TEKS or in the curriculum or in the parent night, so that we can just spend some time having a discussion. Or did I miss anything, Rachel, that you wanted me to cover?
That I can think of.
If anybody has any questions about how we do it here, I'm free to
Yes.
answer questions. Because we use this for our 6th, 7th, 8th, and high school. We do not use it for our 5th graders. We have another program we use for our 5th graders. But other than that, it's a very good program, especially the part when with the A and the B book, that works out really well. So in 6th grade, they do it in PE, and of course it's separated because the boys and the girls are separated in PE. 7th grade, they do it in science. This year in science, we're trying it a different way. We're going to try it during their advisory rather than doing it in actual science. We're going to just try it in advisory. That's what we're going to try and see if we can do it that way. Same way with in 8th grade. And then in 9th grade, they do it in health. And I shouldn't say in 9th grade because some do not take health in 9th grade. Some will take it in 10th, whenever they decide to take it. So that's when they will take that.
And like she said, it matches both Health 1 and Health 2 teams.
Yes.
We combine them, so it's good for any of those grades.
Right, exactly. And also too, I think that this past year, it was an opt-in, and now it's not an opt-in, correct? So, but Dr. Crawford decided he wanted to keep ours as an opt-in. So in order for you to get that second book, your child has to be opt-in to it. In other words, that means that you have
Active
read
permission.
and looked over and have permission for your student to still go and be a part of that, be a part of going through that book. So I have a whole list of kiddos that I go through and make sure that they're good to go in that book. Because we don't want anybody in there, because some parents still choose to teach that at home, and we totally understand that. So, but everybody gets that first book, because it's usually about, health and CPR
relationships,
and
right.
normal health things.
Bullying.
Yeah.
I noticed there's a lot of sexual avoidance, but is there anything on safe sex?
We go through, we follow what the TEKS requirements are, which is there's about 7 or 8 on the 7 main sexually transmitted diseases, and so we just cover the ones that are required. We cover the prevalence of each of the STDs, the mode of transmission of each and every one of the STDs, and the reality rates of barrier and contraceptive methods. And so we go through about 8 of those contraceptive methods, but the requirement under TEKS is to share the human use reality rates, because that's closest for teenagers, than perfect, consistent lab rates, which is a lot of what our kids see. They see like, oh, they're 98% effective, but the reality rates from CDC is 18 to 20%, will get pregnant within the first year of use. And so working at an OBGYN clinic for 13 years, you saw a lot of kids coming in not understanding the difference between lab rate and reality rate. And so I was glad they put that in so we wouldn't get so many saying, well, nobody told me, or I was wrapping it up, I thought I was safe, and just giving them that truthful information. So yes, they get all information about teen pregnancy, contraceptives, and STDs, but it's in the framework of risk avoidance and human use reality rates. Great question, thank you. Anything else on parent night, parent resources, topics? What about anything on the revision? It's a front and a back. And if something just looks like an area you want to work with us on, you don't have to go through right now and pick the individual boxes. You can just pick a broad category, and then we'll work on it later together. It could be as easy as over the next 6 months, 2 Zoom meetings, okay? Parents, teachers, subject experts will, for our Zoom meetings, will send us things like harm about screen time or digital dating violence. And so it might be just 2 or 3 of you digging into a research article and saying, okay, what couple of things do we need to pull out of here? And we want to make sure that this is in the high school book. Or what are some things that we want to pull out of here and put into the 5th grade book? And so that's kind of how our Zoom meetings or our focus groups go. We want to make sure that our documents where we're pulling our research are peer reviewed, they're medically accurate documents, and then, and the stories and quotes that you see in the book. All of those are from Texas teachers, Texas parents, Texas kids, and so we also collect stories. So if you've been through something, you know a child that's been through something, change the names and locations, and then send me that story because we'd like to include it in the curriculum.
Okay, question. Since you mentioned stories, do any of the curriculums or these teams that show videos like real life, let's say human trafficking, maybe an actual victim story or something, or even if it's somebody who's been through extortion, show any of those? Are there any videos that show real life experiences?
We don't have videos, mainly because we want to be as trauma informed as much as we can in our approaches, and so we use like index cards and other tools that if there's been trauma in the classroom, they have a chance to write that out on an index card because we don't want something said openly in the classroom. Videos can sometimes be triggering, but we do cover all the vocabulary, make sure and clear and understand that they know that they're not at fault for any of these things. Most importantly, how they report, and then they journal out who they're going to report to if that's happened to them. And so there's a lot of work in the book and a lot of information. There might be some short scenarios, but so often YouTube videos and other videos that we use become quickly outdated or triggering. As adults, I like to use them, but in the classroom, we're just kind of on the edge of more caution. And so in our teacher training, Haley knows in our teacher training, we don't, just so you guys know, we don't link to any outside sources that have not been approved by the SHAC or board. And we ask our teachers to do the same because we don't want anybody to end up on a headline, oh, my child took the STEAM curriculum and we watched this video on blah, blah, blah. That's not a part of the program.
And on trafficking, I notice this is crime and punishment, but you cover all aspects of trafficking, not just crime.
Specifically grooming in 2 different areas, the legality, and then we go through relationally what it does to you. And it even starts with like grooming of asking for nudes, sexting conversations, sharing of videos, payment for even video game ups and things like that. So a lot of different examples of how that manipulation can happen, on a micro level, because sometimes it's 18 to 24 months of grooming and they just don't even realize what's happening. And so being age appropriate and following what's in the TEKS is what we do, but we try to lay that slippery slide of what can happen because they don't wake up one day and, oh, let me try trafficking. It's not. That doesn't, happen. And the snatch and grabs, we're very clear on the information that we have about the child knowing the person, because it's 30 to 40% of trafficking is somebody they know. So, and yeah, you know that. But I would love to get with you and see if you want to serve on our group.
I'd like to take a couple of these back to the stack of community health, because we've got so many being trafficking, vaping,
Great.
all these areas. And
Thank you.
What they would like to do.
Thank you.
I think even the point that within the schools, trafficking can occur within their, having their own
Yes.
recruiters within the schools,
Yes.
and not recognizing it, making
Right.
it's okay. So
Absolutely. I had a call from a teacher yesterday in the Corpus area, and this happened to be a situation out of lesson 11. We hadn't even got to trafficking yet. We were just covering bacterial and viral diseases, which is very basic in 6th grade. It's not, the requirement is not the same as the older grades. And these were 2 6th graders, happened at 2 different grade levels. And she said the first one was an 11-year-old that came to her, and the 16-year-old brother was demanding oral sex and abusing her. And I can go into detail of what kind of things he saw, because we know that pornography is so prevalent and used as a grooming tool, and that was a part of that situation. Another was a 6th grader that after covering the diseases, and in the book it says even if it's a family member that is doing this to you, you need to report. And she came up to one of our teachers and said that it was a family member that was doing that to her, and she just pointed. She's like, that's happening to me. And so we go over that extensively with our teachers, that these specific lessons, make sure you know the protocol and the referral source within the school, outside the school, so that that child can start getting the processing and the healing as quickly as possible. Thank you guys for your time today.
Thank you. So we will move into our reports from our departments. Lori, do you have anything from counseling you would like to update everybody on?
So you are looking at trying to develop more of a PBIS system, positive behavior intervention system for the undergrades, because we're seeing a lot of extreme behaviors across the district. I've got a lot of things that I'm looking at, trying to talk with my bosses and my supervisor, and all the way up to Dr. Crawford, that trying to shift. And so I don't want to say anything now because I haven't run it by them yet, but I could at our next meeting have some updates for you guys. But we're really working on trying to come up with a plan for intervention with these really difficult, extreme behaviors that we're seeing in our classrooms, especially with the younger students that maybe haven't been identified yet for special education services like kindergarten and first graders. And then also trying to look at interventions before they even get into the SPED arena, because once they're there, they're kind of stuck. And so I've got some ideas, and I will share them as soon as I have some sort of approval.
From Health Services, I mentioned last time that we were going to be working on getting all of the nurses trained to be CPR instructors, so that we can then work on pushing out instruction for all of the staff on campuses. That was held up because American Heart Association was waiting on updates to their curriculum. That came out in late October, and so we're waiting to get that update kind of pushed out and get the materials and things. So we're working on that, and hopefully throughout the next several weeks we're going to be working on getting our training set up and pushed out. So the next semester we can start classes and things. It's a long process getting all of that done. You're probably aware of that. And then the second thing is I'm going to be meeting with Joy at Net Health. She's working with one specific student already with diabetic education, but we have started running numbers. We have so many students on our campuses that are already type 1 diabetics, but we also have a lot of type 2 diabetic students that have been diagnosed, and the numbers are just growing. So currently, I think we have like over 30 district-wide type 2 diabetics, and that starts like 2nd grade. You wouldn't think it, but we do on metformin at home for type 2 diabetes. And so we would really like to start educating them and parents, because we only have 2 pediatric endocrinologists in town here in Tyler, and they are maxed out on their patient load. Christus is trying to hire another one right now, but that also is a long process. And UT does not have one. And so all of our other students are having to drive to Dallas, and that is very difficult, as you can imagine. And so when they have to drive so far, the education for parents and students is lacking. And so we're going to be leaning on our community resources here to help find them some education and help them And so my thought is hopefully to bring it to them. So we'll start like high school, middle school, maybe probably have to get an MOU or something, but maybe set up like a lunch and learn for those high school students. If they want to invite their parents, we'll see if they can, but start with that first, and so that we can teach them how to properly care for themselves, because they are not. They're coming in this week. We had several high schoolers yesterday, and I was like, what did y'all do all weekend? Their blood sugar is like 500s. So we have to really teach them to take care of themselves before they set out on their own. So that's really our focus right now, is the diabetes in this young population. I don't see food services here today, so we'll move on to Haley. Do you
We're kind of Rachel and I kind of thought this week about, maybe it was last week, I don't know, my weeks have kind of blended in. Basketball has started for me, so it's kind of blended in. If y'all know anything about youth basketball. We're kind of help each other on, every year we do the fitness gram, and we do not get the results from last year's fitness gram until this is the beginning of this year, and they haven't given us, I haven't received them yet, or haven't been told I've received them yet. So we do know that there are some students that are not going to pass it because of the weight issue. So we're going to pull some of them. I know there are some teachers last year that knew that they had some, and when I talk about teachers, I'm talking about classroom teachers, because the PE teachers are usually teaching class when those kiddos are at recess. So, but I know there were some classroom teachers who would walk with those kiddos just to get them moving. But we've got to get some of these kids moving, because we had some at 200 something pounds when they were in second grade, third grade. When it comes, they have like a curl up test where they have to come in, and they could only do 2, and that was just the teacher helping, It's sad to see, but it all goes back to the food that they're eating at home, and that the food that they're eating at home is the cheaper, because it's less expensive. They have to eat, so it's just a circle. So that's kind of what you and I talked about, kind of working on together. And then also too, my middle schools are working on the CPR stuff, working on that. They'll be checking out the bags. We have the CPR bags, and so they'll be working on that. So.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? So based on that, every year in SHAC, we kind of come up with a focus. A couple years ago, they did a vaping video, little PSA thing that they worked with our digital arts program here and put that out. Like I said, I was going to talk to Joy about doing the little lunch and learns and things. I know DSHS has lots of programs that y'all have to offer. And then, of course, we're going to do the CPR education for our staff. And we have to do CPR education for our students as well, because that's a TEK that we have to do. Does anybody have anything that you've thought about that you see as and it has to be health related within the TEKs and things, so keep that in mind, that you see as something that you as a SHAC would like to focus on as a group this year, and make that kind of a project? And it could be these lunch and learns or family nights to focus on diabetic education, nutrition education, bring in a speaker, or East Texas Food Bank and partner with some community resource groups, whatever you think might be. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing.
I have a quick, okay, we could do two family nights, and have one come in and we could have one come in and talk about fentanyl, because it's so, because it's such a big thing, and that is a thing that we're supposed to be doing anyway. You know what I'm saying?
What was one that you said, what was
Do what?
the one on?
Say it again.
Which one, which part?
You said
Which
one,
part?
You
one
said-
on one on what?
Nutrition, like how to eat, that kind of thing. Because I know that, doesn't Net Health, wouldn't they come and do something?
That's
with
what I
it?
was gonna say, you know, Net helps out on 155 as well to diabetics.
Yeah.
And they even they were at one time, I don't know if they still are. They
Yeah.
were
This
actually
is
doing-
Joy right here that does that.
Oh,
She's-
yeah, the cooking classes.
Yeah.
Do y'all still do that?
Yeah, we do, and we partner with the food bank. And I was gonna say, so I'm partial, but I think that focusing on diabetes management, but also prevention, that would help with the weight loss and the activity. We do that as well. And I think the big component of the nutritional part is making it to where it's attainable, especially, you know, things are expensive. So partnering with the food bank, they have food pantries showing how you can prepare the food that you get from the food pantries, because I volunteered and a lot of people don't know how to prepare the food.
Yeah.
And so it's educating on that level too.
I agree, because I was up in Sulphur Springs and they were saying that the diabetes, and the coaches were telling me that their players just are not eating enough. Like, they're not eating enough good food, and it's a problem with their muscle mass. But then it was almost like one of the teach says, teach the difference between minimally processed foods, ultra processed foods, and whole foods. And almost every time when I get to that one, there's like, I don't want to say an attack, but it's like, well, how are they supposed to blah blah, because it's so expensive? And one of the SHAC members was like, well, I go to the food pantry and they hand out whole cabbages and whole sweet potatoes, and the families just hand it back because recipes aren't being passed down. Like, they don't know how to cook with it. They don't know what to do with it. So I am in agreement with that one. Teaching the recipes and what's the difference between whole foods and processed foods. Because that's a teach that I struggle with.
I think anything where we could bring the parents in and help the parents is gonna help the students, and I think that would be a great thing to do this time, because we haven't done that in a long time.
And it's vital to educate the ones that are buying the groceries.
I think it's also vital to educate the children that are at home feeding themselves on the food that's in the pantry when the grandparents that they live with, or, you know, a foster family or
staying at
parents
home,
are working.
getting off the
Yeah,
bus
so
and staying at home until mom and dad get home, or whatever the case may be, because that's what a lot of them do.
yeah, because the kids are feeding themselves on whatever they can,
Exactly.
they're available to them, to cook, or, you know. We've seen some really good improvements for younger kids, for younger teenagers that have to cook themselves with air fryer recipes. We've seen there's some good data coming out on that about nutritional opportunities, because you can still use frozen, but it's like grilled, frozen chicken bites, and, you know, so there's some.
On that, Rachel, have you ever had anyone here from AgriLife be part of the SHAC? I say that because we work a lot, like in Russ County, or I help them out on one of their coalition groups, which is Lean, and it was developed initially by AgriLife in Russ County there, and it's Lean. It means leadership encouraging community nutrition. And they have a lot of little outdoor programs. One is the Learn, Grow, and Go that AgriLife also helped to get the grant for, and it's a raised gardening program that we have for elementary schools out there. And it's been wonderful. It's been going on for about 6 or 7 years. And they teach certain curriculums in the fall and in the spring, where the kids, usually 3rd and 4th graders, can grow their own gardens, from getting the garden ready, to the soil, to the seed. They grow their lettuce, their carrots. They get to harvest it, and even the cafeteria will cook their harvest, let them taste it. It's a great program. Yeah, I know that in Henderson and Russ County, it's really grown. We've got like 5 schools, even some private schools asking for it, but we can't keep up enough people to go in and teach the class. That's done through AgriLife, and then we just assist them. So, but with that aspect, as you said, having kids know as well, what we teach the kids, things that they like they've done pumpkin seeds roasted. This month was pumpkin seeds roasted, pumpkin seeds. They can go back and say, oh, I told my mom to buy pumpkins, so I can do that at home. And just they're sharing what they're learning, healthy eating, because they do food demonstrations as well. The 4-H club helps them with food demonstrations. and they'll make a healthy salad, and they'll say, that's really good. We're getting them to taste things that they would have never tried before. A lot of these schools should have a high population of minorities, which it's new to them. And they say, hey, I told my mom to go back and make this. And they made it and they tried it, and it's something that they're doing now. So they're sharing that. We also do, through AgriLife, also grant, they do several diabetes classes for families, not only adults, but one is the Do Well, Be Well program. One is actually taught in Spanish called Si Yo Puedo Controlar Mi Diabetes, which means yes, I can control my diabetes. And so I just didn't know if AgriLife here in Smith County had grants or was aware of any of those programs. Because
We used to have some members that came. I'll double check and see if they're still employed there.
I thought it might be a good point if they've ever. I know that down south in Lufkin and further on down, those committees or those students. I was just wondering if we ever had it.
We're not.
I will reach out to them.
Do the students in this district go to the food bank? Do they have that, kind of at the middle
Our
school
special
age?
needs students do, in our LINK program, they go volunteer there. I don't know about other.
Like through the food pantry portion, not just in the packaging and things like that, or not just in the service of the giving back to the community, but going through the food pantry and seeing how they put foods out and have the recipe cards so that they are exposed to that part of it, or the cooking classes that are involved.
I'm not sure.
A lot of teaching pitches at colleges that are not being utilized right now.
I mean, if we did, like you said, something I think for the adults, healthy eating or like that, I know that we do have some recipe books for diabetics, some for healthy living, or making healthy recipes at our office that we keep on hand that we could help to hand them to the parents and kids. We would have some kid menus in both Spanish and English that say, hey, eat an apple today or something, as reminders, little placemats. The My Plate, I don't know if you've heard of the My Plate menu, healthy food portions and things like that. We decided to do a family night out to hand out to the parents. Those are things to keep in mind.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
other one, when I go to parent nights, deep discussion that they want to get into is how to reduce anxiety by reducing screen time. And so there's a series of tools that parents can choose from. It's like, one is a cell phone agreement, one's a video game, one's a music. It's like all the different forms of media, and parents can pick up the different tools and like develop the agreements between them and their children. And so later on, if there's ever a need for that, I've got some of those tools.
Okay. I'll do some research about what locations we have that would work to have this. And so, what are the high school cafeterias? Obviously, would probably work just fine, as long as we're not needing cooking, like hot plates and things like that. I think they could teach them how to prepare a meal up front and explain it to them and bring them samples and things. And then we can make copies of recipe cards and things for them. And then lists of resources. And then we can try to get it scheduled. I think that's a great idea. And have a couple nights because it's definitely needed for these families with the same need. So, if y'all have anything else, I think be sure to write your emails down. If y'all have anybody else that you think should be involved, y'all can email me.
Can I share something real quick?
Yes,
DSHS down on Front Street, we are having a child safety checkup on Friday. We've got plenty, it's from 9 to 12, and we've been handing them out to some of the schools around the area.
And I got emailed to every student.
Yes, did they get them?
Yes.
We're hoping, because I think right now we've only got 4 people who have inquired. We've got like technicians already arrived. Yesterday was all the car seat, teaching the technicians. Yes, I mean, and basically what it is, some people say, oh, they're free car seats. Well, you can't say free, but what they'll do is they'll bring their child in anywhere from birth to up to 40 inches or however tall they are, depending on the child's size. And if they're in a car seat or booster seat, they'll inspect it. And if it's either expired, it's broken, or it isn't age or weight appropriate for that child, they will replace it with a new one. And then they will also teach the parent how to properly fit the car seat into the car. And so anyway, it's a really good program that, if they do replace it, it is at no charge. All they have to do is learn how to watch the demonstration and have it in Spanish and English on both sides. So that's going on this Friday down on Front Street from 9 to 2. But if more cars show up, we'll continue to see everyone who comes through the line. So if you'd like to take some and share them. In addition, we put some brochures out on holiday safety. We do injury prevention and community health. And it's just reminding people, if you need more, if you email me, I'll be happy to send you some more, hand out to parents or anybody about the holidays are coming up, and sometimes with all the excitement and decorations, we forget about, okay, be careful with our lights, our outlets, even cooking in the kitchen. You've got meal preparations from choking hazards to all kinds of things that can happen. Be safe, toy safety, and choosing your toys. So anyway, it's just got a number of good things, reminders for people during the holidays how to be safe. So you're welcome to take those if you'd like more of either one. Just email me, we can get you some more out.
Anybody else have anything to share? Great. Okay. Well, then we will adjourn at 10:05. If anybody else has anything else. I do have one thing. We have the care closets on middle schools and high school campuses. And if anybody would ever like to come volunteer to pack our weekend meal program, meal bags on Thursday mornings from 8:30 to 9:30 or 10ish. All we do is pack those bags. It's the meals that provides 2 meals and snacks and breakfast for a family of 4 for resource insecure students. And we send those home with them on Fridays. And then all we do is load the bags up for the school and deliver them to the school. It takes literally like an hour, hour and a half. Just go to the district website, click on the foundation link, and there's a sign-up sheet is there. Or you can just show up. It's at the St. Louis building at 2800 Walton Road. The more the merrier. Come anytime. Thursday mornings, 8:30 to 9:30. So be there at
St. Louis.
the old St. Louis, 2800 Walton Road. Okay. Y'all have a good day and a great Thanksgiving.